Hey everybody, Simistic this here again to talk to you about what I bought and what I watched today. And today ends my week-long Dragon Marathon, where I've watched nothing but movies with the word Dragon in the title. Unfortunately, I kinda ended my marathon on a bit of a stinker. I watched a pretty bad movie tonight. I thought, should I go out and watch something, classic, like Enter the Dragon, do something classic like that for my last movie? Or should I maybe go a little bit more obscure? And I figured I'd watch something that was very obscure, something that I've never seen, something that you've probably never heard of. And it ended up being a pretty bad movie, but we'll get down to that in a minute. I'll talk about that one in a minute. However, I did make up for it. I did actually buy something today with the word Dragon in the title that is awesome, so let's take a look at what I got. Today I ran at the BJ's for only $29.99. I picked up Dragon Tattoo Trilogy, the Extended Edition. Very cool. I love these movies. They are fantastic. Now I know what you're thinking. $29.99? That doesn't sound right. I only pay $5 per movie. So at the most, I should have only paid $15 for this. And you're right. However, I've been sitting on a $25 BJ's gift card since Christmas that I just have not got around to using yet. Used on this, I only paid $4.99 for this. Fantastic deal. I cannot wait to sit down and watch these again. They are great movies. I absolutely love them. If you haven't seen these, I highly recommend checking them out. I actually haven't seen the extended editions yet. I've seen just the regular theatrical cut. So, certainly looking forward to sitting down and watching these extended cuts. This should be fantastic. So that's it for what I bought today. So now it's what I watched. And tonight I watched Black Dragons, which is actually part of my horror collection here, which I'm not going to hold up the entire time. The movie was pretty bad, but in all fairness, I went into it kind of expecting that. I read some reviews on it before I checked it out, and they got pretty bad reviews. Apparently, it's not a very good movie, and I agree with those reviews. It was pretty bad. It's Bela Lugosi's only mystery movie, the only mystery movie he's ever done. And from what I've also read, the only reason he even did this movie was simply because at the time he was hooked on morphine. If you've seen things like Ed Wood, or you just know the history of Bela Lugosi, you know that he was hooked on morphine. And apparently he just did this movie just to keep the money rolling in. The movie was actually, it was done in 1942, right after, like a few months after the Pearl Harbor attack. And also from what I read, apparently it was, an original script, but then they ended up just throwing the whole Nazi-Japanese part to it. They just threw that in the movie just to kind of put something out that, basically they were capitalizing off of the Japanese attacking Pearl Harbor, basically, which is kind of a shame, but anytime, come on, look at 9/11. Everybody was selling flags. 9/11. This, it's a tragedy. It's a horrible thing, but somebody's always gonna try to capitalize off it, especially Hollywood. So, Bela Lugosi did a good job at it. I can't say his acting was bad. His acting was pretty good. It's typical Bela Lugosi acting. He did a good job. I don't have anything wrong with his acting. In fact, everybody's acting in it was pretty much typical 1940s. Like B acting, so it was alright. It wasn't horrible, but certainly wasn't good either. The story, though, actually, it's kind of an interesting story. I really like the plot. It's just, unfortunately, the movie was very dull, and it didn't execute the plot well at all. It's basically a Nazi, played by Bela Lugosi, is sent to Japan, because the Japanese and the Nazis are working together, and he's sent to Japan to take, I think it's 6 Japanese guys. And he's going to, and Bela Lugosi is a master plastic surgeon. Forgot to mention that part. That part's pretty important. So he's a master plastic surgeon Nazi. Goes to Japan. He's going to take these 6 Japanese guys and fix up their faces so they look like prominent, very important businessmen from America who are basically kind of running the whole. If you know World War II, once World War II started, a lot of basically every company was taken over for war efforts. Car manufacturers started doing planes and so on and so forth. And basically, Bela Lugosi is making these Japanese guys look like the people who run these important companies who are supporting the war and helping out with the war efforts. So what the Japanese do is they kill off those 6 guys. They kidnapped and killed off those 6 head honchos, and they're putting their Japanese guys in place to kind of take these companies down, from within the company, and basically cripple America, cripple their economy, cripple their war efforts, basically so that they can win the war. Okay, sounds pretty interesting. So what ends up happening is the head Japanese guy I don't remember his name, but the Japanese guy who's kind of putting this whole thing on, he ends up double-crossing Bela Lugosi and throws him in jail. And Bela Lugosi, being the master plastic surgeon he still has his medical equipment on him for whatever reason. They end up throwing him in jail with this other guy who's also played by Bela Lugosi. And the other guy's about to get out, which really cheesily, they say that he's about to leave soon. So Bela Lugosi thinks, all right, this guy's about to get out in a couple of days. He goes, makes his face look like his, so when they come to let him out, they end up letting the Bela Lugosi Nazi plastic surgeon out. So to get his revenge, he goes back to America and starts killing off one by one these imposters and dumping them on the Japanese embassy doorstep. And of course, the FBI gets involved, and they need to find out who's killing everybody. And of course, in the end, you know, the mystery's solved, and you find out it was Bela Lugosi and everything. The only problem, though, is the movie. Well, first of all, the movie's only about an hour long, but for the first 55 minutes of the movie, you have no idea what's going on. They don't set this up for you. They tell you all of this. They tell you the whole Bela Lugosi being this master plastic surgeon, and you know what's going on with the imposters. They tell you all that within the last 5 minutes of the movie. So the whole 55 minutes up to the last 5 minutes, you're not quite sure what's going on, which doesn't really work because you're like, okay, well, these guys are being killed, but why are they being killed? And you don't really care who's doing it because you don't really know what the motive is. And, you know, it would have been one thing if early in the movie they would have figured out kind of like what was going on. Now they have to figure out who's killing them. Okay, and not to mention, you pretty much know right off the bat it's Bela Lugosi. They try to say, oh, maybe it's this guy, maybe it's that guy. But, I mean, come on. You know within the first 3 seconds of the movie, Bela Lugosi's killing everybody. So at the end, the guy who Bela Lugosi actually it was impostoring, he ends up showing up at the end. They're in his house and whatever. So all in all, the plot is actually pretty interesting. I really did think the plot was cool. And if somebody like, I don't know, like Quentin Tarantino or something were to redo the movie today, they could actually probably do a pretty cool movie. But unfortunately, 1942 B movie, it was just executed poorly. The acting, like I said, it was mediocre. I mean, Bela Lugosi did a good job, but for the most part, acting was mediocre. It just wasn't executed very well. It was very bland, kind of boring of a story. So unfortunately, like I said, I ended my marathon on a bit of stinker. It wasn't that great of a movie. I definitely would say no to it. I would not recommend it. I mean, if you're a huge Bela Lugosi fan, you want to see everything he's done, and you really like cheeseball, like 1940s, 1950s B mystery movies, I mean, if you like all that, sure, check it out. I mean, why not? It sounds like your kind of movie. But for the average viewer, I'd say don't bother. It was pretty badly done. Yeah, and a very interesting plot, but it was just not carried out well at all. And it was just a really poorly told story, unfortunately. So definitely can't recommend it. But what are you going to do? It was a great marathon, though. Definitely watched some great titles. I had a really fun time watching nothing but movies with the word dragon in the title. That was definitely a lot of fun. And there's a lot more I could have watched. I actually have a big list of all the movies I own with dragon in the title. I went through all my movies and picked out all the ones with dragon. A lot of martial arts movies. Only watched like 1 or 2 martial arts movies in there. I tried to switch it up. I wanted to do things differently. I didn't want to do all the classics. I mean, yeah, I watched like How to Train Your Dragon and stuff like that, but I didn't want to do the movies that you might have been thinking of. I wanted to try to change it up and throw some stuff in, like the Black Dragons and what else? Jeez, I'm trying to think of what else I even watched. Like Dragon World and The Last Dragon, stuff like that. I wanted to switch it up. So hope you enjoyed watching that. So that's it for what I bought when I watched today. Like I said, unfortunately I ended on a stinker, but I did pick up the Dragon Tattoo Trilogy, the extended editions, which is very cool. Definitely looking forward to watching those. I absolutely love those movies. Like I said, I've seen the theatrical cuts and they were great. So I'm really looking forward to watching the extended cuts. That should be fantastic. And again, it's only $29.99 at BJ's. If you're a BJ's member, go pick it up. That's I mean, for me, like I said, I only pay $5 per title, but for the average buyer, $30 for that set, that's a pretty good deal. On Blu-ray too. That's a great deal. I would definitely recommend people going out and picking that up. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned to see what I bought when I watch tomorrow. See ya.